Ladies, gentlemen, and Haradrim of all ages, Season 2 for Diablo 4 has been out for nearly a couple of full days now, and there's quite a bit to talk about on multiple different fronts. Lots of fixes were applied to the game, lots of interesting changes, some maybe less than intended, results of new powers being added to the game, being a little bit more than overpowered, the absolute comparative reign of Shakos dropping, as multiple people have already gotten them even this early on, and to top it all, I want to frame this one around a simple concept. With all this stuff going on, the general reaction from the community of people actually playing Season 2 is, it's fun. I know, there is probably a time limit on that fun before it starts to feel repetitive again. All of us are aware of that, and yep, there are a ton of us who fully quit the game for a while there, were lured back in just to give Season 2 a bit of a chance, and have found ourselves genuinely enjoying the experience. So let's talk about all that, as well as my personal feelings on Season 2 so far at the end of the video as well. Starting off then, we should talk about the absolute just mountain of changes and fixes going on to the game right now. The start of the season of itself wound up getting delayed by 2 hours because they found a problem in it that needed fixing at the last moment, and that itself was a bit of a murky moment considering the very 50-50 nature of most of the people who were ready to give it another chance, but even then, they originally said it would be a few hours to fix. It wound up being just slightly over 2 hours, so they at least beat the expectations on that one. That said, as part of the same message saying that the season was going live, they also said, oh, hey, there's also an issue that maybe means that cross-platform play is just totally broken for now. Sorry about that. And yeah, it happens. If it were another game, another developer, it would be nothing. But given the track record right now, this is just sort of quite funny to me. But I'm sure there are people who care much more about crossplay than I do, and were genuinely upset by this. While this was happening, of course, thousands upon thousands of players were getting into the game and then getting their hands on the new things with the season now being live, and it took about 10 minutes of playtime before Josh, Hollow, and I realized that the season journey was not working. We did some of the season questline, got to the step where you have to complete chapter 1 of the journey before you can continue, and then just got sort of soft locked on progress because it was just completely broken. Nothing was registering, nothing was completing. About an hour later though, we had this come from the devs, a server-side fix that made the season journey start working again. Sadly, it didn't work retroactively, it didn't count the things that you'd already done, but it was at least functional. To give them just the slightest benefit of the doubt here, I have to assume this is a new issue that popped up during the fixes they did that delayed the start of the season by 2 hours. Because if that's not the case, then I will lose my sanity. There is no way over the last 2 weeks or longer they've not had at least someone testing the game, and I firmly believe it would take only one person testing to realize, oh hey, the season journey isn't getting any progress from anything. So logically, I have to assume it was a new problem from these late stage changes. Not long after that though, there was a hotfix for the game. Apparently Druids were having a fun bug where Grizzly Rage, the most common ultimate ability of the class, just wasn't working properly, and it seems like this was actually quite the big issue, but they fixed it fast, so, you know, alright on that one. But then later the same night we had another hotfix, though this one was just to fix the interaction between Steam players and the in-game shop. After that, early the next morning we had a full client patch, and this was made to fix cross-platform play, as well as various stability improvements as usual, and that is a lot of changes for this amount of time. A lot of updates, a lot of fixes, a lot of damage control honestly, and a fair few issues, all that had to be dealt with within a really short time from the projected launch time of the season. And the thing is, it hasn't stopped people from having fun with the game. If the game was still in the state that it was last season and we had these kinds of issues popping up, people would be endlessly ragging on the dev team about all of this. They'd be quitting left and right, but instead people are actually enjoying the gameplay enough right now that they're just simply too busy actually playing Diablo 4 to be upset about any of this, which is a pretty big thing to say with the history that this game has up to this point. Aside from this, we should talk about Blood Harvest, the new seasonal activity like a variant of Helltide. But the thing is, even though mechanically at its core it's very Helltide-like, and when we saw the footage of it ahead of time, it's like, yeah, that's just Helltide. I've spent quite a bit of time here so far, and it does actually feel a bit unique. Sure, it's open world, and you're fighting the enemies in the open world, but the enemies are all packed very densely. All of them can give you rewards that are meaningful in this season, and more importantly than anything, the legendary drops from this activity are through the roof, which gives that extra hit of dopamine to drag you back in and make it feel like something that you actually can see yourself doing, all the way into the end endgame, even just for a bit every day or two. This is one of the major additions of Season 2 as far as fleshing out the game activities and things that we can actually take part in, and they've done quite well with this one in my mind. Then we have something really fun. With this season, there were 5 new bosses added to the game, different requirements to actually summon them, stuff like that, and aside from just being another activity that you can do, their main purpose is that they drop unique items at a higher rate, with different ones of these 5 bosses having different uniques in their enhanced drop rate pool, all with the goal of just giving players the ability to target farm specific uniques so they can actually get them if they want them for their builds. Before we actually got our hands on it, I assumed this would only be a slightly increased chance, but as it turns out, it's actually extremely generous. I have killed the Varshan boss around 7 times and gotten a unique 5 of those times. Granted, they're all useless for my current build, but that drop rate is insane. Past that, I've heard tales that there are multiple Shakos already out there in Season 2 on different players. The big endgame boss Duriel that was added in has the same increased drop rate for uber uniques as well as regular ones, and it seems that the drop rate is genuinely good enough that we have multiple Shakos in the first couple of days, which is worth noting is just absolutely absurdly faster than even the first Shako of Season 1 or even the first one in the base game. So if you're interested in messing around with uber uniques, this right here is the reason to push through and fight to the end game in Season 2, or even just play around on the Eternal Realm if you already have a level 100 character and you want to just have these uniques. Other than that, we should talk about a little bit of an elephant in the room, though I guess it's more of a goblin. A hemogoblin. By which I of course mean the hemomancy vampiric power, which seems to be broken in quite the fun way. This power does a percentage of your maximum life as damage to quote-unquote nearby enemies. It does it when you attack. It maxes out at once every 4 seconds and heals you for 1% of your maximum life per enemy hit by this effect. The thing is, it says that it only affects nearby enemies, but the effect seems to be hitting enemies even on the very edge of your screen or even just off of it. It says that it happens when you attack, but apparently it is triggered by just using your evade or even getting on your horse in the open world, so basically pressing any button that actually has an effect. So it is definitely not working quite as intended, but for now it works the way that it does, and it's silly. So you should take advantage of it if you want to, or you can ignore it if you want to too. It's entirely your choice, but in order to actually make it a choice for you to have, you had to know it was a thing, so of course I did want to talk about it. This is just broken, do what you want with it. And that does it for the actual things going on for the most part, but I really do want to just spend a minute here just hammering home how surprisingly positive the response from the community as a whole is to Season 2 in Diablo 4. Yes, there are still a bunch of people who didn't come back to try it, and I don't blame them in the slightest. I get it. But those of us who are giving it another chance, I've already paid for the base game, so the only thing that we actually stood to lose by doing so was time. And, well, across the board, I've seen people actually enjoying themselves with this time, claiming that they are having fun, and we're all just sort of sitting here a bit on edge, just like, but where's the breaking point? Because it's fun right now, for sure, but we're still relatively early in the game. So at what point will everything just fall apart? And we're just sort of scared of that happening. We've been hurt in the past by this game, and trusting it just isn't on the table right now until it gives us more reasons to do so. So there's just this really odd vibe going around of, I'm really enjoying this, but I don't want to tell anyone that I'm enjoying it, because I'm afraid my opinion might change at any given second. And what I have to say about that is, well, just enjoy it for now. Have fun for now if you find it fun, and stop concerning yourself with the future until we get there, because once you stop having fun, you can just stop playing. Think of it this way, no matter what, this game is notably better than it was even at the start of Season 1, and it's improved even more than that since the release of the base game itself. Yes, it is far from perfect. It still has so many issues. It still has holes that need filling, most notably in the end game and the storage system, everything like that. But right now, it's fun, and it is a notable improvement. It's like we went from playing an alpha version of the game to a beta version, and I've had great times in betas for games in the past. What this means is, yes, in theory, the game will just get better in the future as we go on, more things will be added, and if they keep this trajectory, we're looking to have a much better game every season that we play. But right now still matters. We aren't currently playing peak Diablo 4, but we're playing a definitely enjoyable version of Diablo 4. And while again, I don't blame anyone who refuses to give it another chance, I'd say anyone who has been sitting on the fence might want to actually try giving it a go. If you don't like it, you can stop. No harm done, right? Absolutely nothing lost. But personally, I've been pleasantly surprised by Season 2 so far, enjoying it more than I thought I would by a fair margin. Against my better judgment, I'm even starting to have hopes for the future of this game in future seasons, seasons, but of course we'll have to see how everything plays out one step at a time and see where it all goes slowly. That'll do it for today then, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this, and of course let me know your own thoughts down in the comments below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.